Yes, guys, welcome back to another vid from Mutal FC, and today we got another banging vid for you. Today we're ranking the best transfers in the Premier League.
That's right. So we're ranking the best transfers, and we got five categories. So we got God tier, luxury, bang average, kind of shit, and lastly fucking useless, just like Arsenal. All right, so we're gonna kick this off with Man United. So obviously United have made headlines by signing Sancho for 75 million pounds, Varane for 35 million, and then they're also linked with Kamavinga. All right, so for Sancho, I think you got to go God tier. I think any sensible person would go God tier unless you're a City fan. You're just trying to hate. Like now, United finally have a natural right fucking winger, not a left winger that they jam on the right over the years. They've jammed Rashford, Mata, Martial, Depay. Now we actually have Sancho, and he sauced it for England. Even though they lost at the end. But yeah, for Varane, man, I know he had that mistake against City in the Champions League. Like he passed it back into the box and then Sterling slotted it past Courtois. But I think other than that, like the dude's a baller, right? Like four-time UCL winner. I don't know how many La Ligas he's won with Zidane, but like I'm sure it's a fuck ton. So like that's insane. So I think I'll put him in God tier too, just because I think a center back pairing of him and Maguire would be really nice. And then lastly, Kamavinga. So like we saw earlier, I think this year or last year, he had that insane like overhead kick against Sweden in his like international debut, and it's sauce. And he's just sauce for Rennes as well. And I think if United give them how much ever they want, like if they do sell Pogba, whatever, it's like 60 million. I think it should come. And I also think I don't know about God tier because he's young, but it's also not a luxury player. So with that being said, I'll just put him in God tier. But I think he's a solid CDM.
Yeah, personally, as a die-hard United fan, I mean, I'm loving what I'm seeing this window. The first time United have acted like a big club. The transfers you're seeing from United, it's like a FIFA career mode. You don't see this shit. You don't see like with Jadon Sancho, Varane, like this shit you do on your FIFA team to like imagine and hope, right? Like Chelsea did it kind of like last year with the 300 million, right? But to see United for the first time since Sir Alex Ferguson left, we got top four, and for once we've actually spent the money. And Locks hit the points perfectly. Sancho and Varane, no bias aside, I think if any team got Sancho and Varane in a window, it's going to be like god tier signings, especially when you look at the positions you have to address. Right winger was a weak point for United. Sancho covers that up. Center back was a weak point with Lindelof. Lindelof is shit. He's a Chuckle brother, bro. So Varane's there. He'll cover that. He'll cover that. That shit won't be happening. Varane will help with the pace. And then the last position, like Locke said, was the midfield that needs to be sorted out. If United can get Kamavinga done, that would be a great signing. For him, I would say, again, I might put him in luxury player because, again, Kamavinga is known to play the 6 role, but he can also play the 8 role. I'm not sure if he's a pure out-and-out DM. I think that's what United need because I think Kamavinga is more similar to Donny van de Beek, Pogba, right? And we see what happened to Donny van de Beek. He's sitting on the bench rotting. So I don't know if Kamavinga is going to be a starter. He might be a luxury player. So I have him as a luxury player. But moving on to Manchester City. Now they are in for some big names. Jack Grealish and Harry Kane. Like these are huge names. They're also trying to do a FIFA career mode shit. I don't know if they're gonna get away with it. FFP better stop this shit. But like, what is it like? 260 million if they sign both players. That's what the quoted value is. Kane at I believe 150, 160 British pounds. It's insane. Now, personally, I don't believe both will happen. I think definitely one will. I'm not sure if both can happen again with FFP. But if both happen, if either one happens, it's a fucking god tier signing. Now you could say for me maybe Grealish is a luxury signing just because I don't think they need a Grealish because they have Kevin De Bruyne, they have Bernardo Silva. So I would say in that sense, unless these players are like I heard Bernardo Silva might be leaving, so there's a potential there. But I think Grealish is a luxury player, but Kane for sure is 100% god tier player. What are your thoughts, Laksh?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna say Kane's a god tier too, and I think Vig's right, right? Like Grealish is the luxury player because, City if they don't sign a forward, right? Because they just sent Aguero off to Barca. Like who are they playing it forward? Gabriel Jesus, Ferran Torres, Bernardo Silva, KDB. Like this is not what you want to do to go for a quadruple or whatever the hell they want to go for this season. And I think for Grealish, right? Like I think City are gonna end up buying Grealish, even though they don't need Grealish, because he's 90 million compared to Kane 160 million, and Spurs are also just not gonna sell. I think they'll feel that pressure because other teams like United, I don't know, Liverpool are buying players, so they might just be forced into buying Grealish. But I think, like Vig said, Grealish is a luxury player, and then Kane's just a god player. He's like the Prem breaking record striker, right? All right, so moving on to Liverpool. So Ibrahima Konate, the center back from Leipzig. So obviously, this guy next to Van Dijk is gonna be like a fucking brick wall. Like it's just I don't like Liverpool, and like I'm gonna hate Liverpool like even more now. Like you're not even gonna be able to get a single goal against them. So yeah, I think Konate, without a doubt, we're gonna say god tier. But then again, Bundesliga defenders, you're now a Premier League defender. It's a different class. We don't know. And then Virgil van Dijk, VVD, the man himself. He's back after Pickford, really fucked him over last year and made him sit out. He was a bench warmer. So let's say, I mean, this is, not a new signing. He's coming back, but I've never really been a big fan of Van Dijk. And so for that reason, I can't give him, the god tier, even though he probably is a god in other people's eyes. So I'm going to stick him at bang average.
I'm gonna move on to Chelsea now. Now Chelsea, they haven't officially made any signings yet. They did get Tuchel on a re-sign for official, I believe, 3 or 4 year deal. So that's great for Chelsea fans. I mean, obviously he brought Champions League in the space of like 4 months. He brought them from like 10th, losing to the worst Arsenal side in the Premier League history, to winning the Champions League against Man City. So that's great. I think it's a god tier for Chelsea. I think it might be the first manager that will last more than a year. So great for Chelsea. Then you've got Koundé, Jules Koundé from Sevilla, who's seeming very likely to go to Chelsea. And if this signing happens, I think this could be controversial. I think it's a bang average signing. Now, why I say that? Because I don't think he necessarily improves the defense. Chelsea don't need more defenders. Rudiger has shown he's very good. Thiago Silva shown is very good, can lead the defense. Christensen has improved. Now, maybe Jules Koundé is a backup, and for that reason, I'm thinking he's an average signing. I don't think it really addresses their issues. Now, if they get Haaland, however, that's a god tier signing. We saw the struggles that they had up top. Tammy Abraham, Giroud, finding Timo, bro. I don't know. This dude doesn't like show up. He doesn't show up. So Haaland, if they can get him this year, which I don't think is gonna happen, I think it'll be probably next year. But if they can get him, that's a god tier signing. So yeah, those are the Chelsea signings.
All right, moving on to Arsenal. So, we don't need to rate this. It's just fucking useless, but, let's be respectful to Arsenal. All right, so first is Bruno Tavares. So this guy is, I forget, like left back or right back. And I don't know too much about him, but he did score a banger of a goal for Arsenal in preseason. I think it was against like Hibernian or some team like that. I'm pretty sure Arsenal still lost or draw because, it's Arsenal in that game. And then Lokonga, I think this dude's from Anderlecht, a Belgian guy. So I don't know much about him, but the name sounds like he's related to Lukaku. I don't think he's gonna play anything like Lukaku, so let's stick him at kind of shit will be nice. And then Ben White. I mean, to go to the Euros, like that's a certain level of respect, and he was saucing with Brighton and Leeds in the championship before he came up. So we'll stick him at bang average / luxury. And then lastly, Ramsdale. So I don't even want to react to this. Just fuck off. We'll go with fucking useless. Fuck you, Ramsdale.
Oh my God. All right, we're moving on to the other North London club, Spurs. Spurs are basically the same thing. I mean, we can talk about Nuno, but I mean, Wolves didn't want him, so Spurs are buying a Wolves reject. So what does that tell you about them as a manager? Nuno's gonna play his park the bus defensive shit, and I mean, you got rid of Jose Mourinho for a worse Jose Mourinho. That tells you all you know about Spurs. Son on a resign is huge. I think Son is a great player. He's probably one of the standout Premier League players in the last couple years. And it's really important that Spurs kept him on a 4 year deal. If they can re-sign Kane, that'd be good for them, but I don't see it happening. But I'd rate the Son as a god tier transfer. Brian Gill, he a Sevilla winger, I believe, has barely had any first team experience, so that's the kind of concerning thing. But he's probably one for the future. So I'll say bang average. There's potential for him to be a luxury or even god tier maybe in the next coming years. But as of right now, I'd have to say bang average. And then Christian Romero, this dude's been highly rated at Atalanta. Also, he was in the Copa America team that won Messi's first final. So this Romero dude, I've heard a lot of promising things. So I'm going to say it is a god tier signing for Spurs, respectively, because Spurs obviously have Dyer, who's Dyer, and then and Alderweireld has just left. So I think Romero will go right into the starting 11. So I'm going to say god tier for Christian Romero. But we'll move on to Leicester City. They've choked Champions League once again, but there's still a project with Leicester, and they did win the FA Cup. To be fair to them, and they're just bringing on more. They're acting like a big club. Patson Daka, they stole this man from Liverpool. Liverpool were highly linked to this dude as well. And this dude, you could say it's the Austrian league and all that bullshit, but he scored 27 goals in 28 games. And if people are going to shut on the Austrian league, bro, Holland came from Salzburg. People like, I don't know if people forget this shit, but he came from Salzburg. And Daka is at Salzburg, right? And I think this dude, he's a very quick player. He's a very strong player. He's 6'1". I think he will adapt to the Premier League perfectly. He'll be the dude to not to replace Vardy, to take his mantle alongside Iheanacho. So I think it's a great signing, god tier in my opinion. Bertrand, I think, is I'd say average, but I don't think he's a bad player. I just don't. They have so many fullbacks, Leicester. I don't think it's something they really needed, but it's never bad to have an extra fullback. And for Sumare, another DM, which I think Leicester. I'm gonna say this one's a luxury player because they already have Mendy, the Mendy midfielder at Leicester, and they also have Ndidi, who's one of the best DMs in my opinion in world football. I'd say at least top 10 definitely. So Samari is just going to be a backup to that, but it's always good to have depth, especially if you're going to compete in Europa League and the Premier League. So yeah, Leicester have some great signings.
Yeah, and just real quick on Leicester. So I think Bertrand, they brought him in to give cover for Luke Thomas, the 19-year-old left back. And then for Patson Daka, if you're watching this, man, please don't flop, bro. Please don't. I remember being so hyped for Ahmed Musa from CSK Moscow, and then he just went to shit. He looked like a lightweight in the Prem. And I would really love to see Patson Daka and Iheanacho looking like Black Panther up top, Wakanda forever. All right, moving on to Everton. So all right, so the bigger signing, I guess like the unusual signing for them has been Damari Gray. I think 1.7 million pounds from Leicester after his like 6-month loan stint at Bayer Leverkusen. So this dude has always been like, a promising guy under like Claude Puel, Brendan Rodgers at the beginning before he got sent out, but like he's never been the main guy. But I think it's kind of interesting. Rafa Benitez wants to make him play number 10. So I think, that position shift, he's never been like a great player. I'm going to put him at bang average. And then Townsend, to go from Spurs to Crystal Palace, that's a down step. I guess Crystal Palace to Everton's like, a step in the right direction, but like one goal last season, like we're not having that, fucking useless. I'm sorry. And then Begovic should retire soon, 34 years old. Relegation fodder, please get out of the team that I like right now, Everton. But yeah. And then lastly, the manager, Rafa Benitez. So Benitez back in England, back in Liverpool, kind of technically, but it's Everton he's managing. And I'm looking forward to it, taking over from Carlo Ancelotti. I have big expectations, and I think this is a god tier signing in terms of a manager. But that's the vid. That's us reacting to this season's transfers. Peace.